Sports on YouTube. The No Holds Barred Truth.
And a couple things happened out of this. One post that she put out about a Iowa Hawkeye player looking like a man. All right. And, it's better. Yeah, you're not. This is coming up a lot. Isn't it? This Charleston White podcast came out. So it's the same way with everybody else. Works people up and gets them all twisted up. It's funny. I don't give a damn who you are. And they want people to care about this league, but it's got to be on their time.
This whole controversy traces back to a real Club 520 podcast episode hosted by former NBA player Jeff Teague featuring guest Charleston White. That part is fully confirmed. This isn't a fabricated internet rumor. It's a real, widely covered podcast episode.
Clip that went mega viral. I saw somebody asking, why would you have this guy on this podcast? Because it got 3 million views, this one damn clip, and everybody's talking about it? That's why. Now, it went viral because of Angel Reese, and, she's reposted some old April post about protect women's sports. A lot of people are speculating, does that have to do with this interview?
The clip genuinely did go viral, and Angel Reese did resurface an old social media post about protecting women's sports around the same time. That timing connection is accurate, even though any deeper motive behind her repost is speculation, not confirmed fact.
So I'd commend her if she's doing that. Hats off to you, Angel Reese. But some people think she's playing the victim because of a comedian roasting her on a podcast. Well, the WNBA got roasted in general, all right? And a couple things happened out of this. One, we've got this. Las Vegas Aces point guard is all been out of shape, and unfortunately for her, this didn't go well because some people called her out.
The debate over whether Reese was making a genuine statement or reacting defensively to the podcast is a fair, open question. Reasonable people can read that timing differently, and it's worth treating as exactly that kind of ambiguous situation, rather than settling on one interpretation as certain.
This Charleston White interview, or this podcast that he was on, having an ignorant ass sexist on and then actually dropping the episode and then wanting to collab with the W is crazy work, laughing my ass off. Well, that didn't exactly get the response.
The broader point that this podcast episode became a story about the whole league, not just one player, is accurate. Multiple sports outlets, including Sportskeeda and The Mirror, covered the fallout as a genuine controversy involving several current players.
520 podcast situation involving NBA player Jeff Teague, and of course they're all sitting around BSing. Charleston White is a comedian, and he's very damn funny, but he is also not afraid, like any good comedian, to roast or destroy everybody. And that's what good comedians do. They're not worried about anybody's feelings. They literally go out there and crush. And that's what Charleston White did in this clip that went.
The claim about Aces guard Sydney Colson having an old, controversial tweet of her own about an Iowa player's appearance is worth flagging carefully. I could not independently verify that specific claim through other reporting, so it should be treated as unconfirmed rather than established fact, regardless of how it's presented here.
Jettison off of YouTube. It is funny as hell. He crushed Brittany Griner. But again, to quote CM Punk, tell him when he's telling lies, because he's not. And what kills me is this league has finally gotten people to acknowledge it. Because honestly, do you know what the WNBA's claim to fame was? Brittany Griner getting arrested in Russia. That was the biggest story that's ever happened in that entire 26 year of existence until Caitlin Clark.
Here's a real, substantive point worth taking seriously. For a long stretch of its history, the WinBay's most widely covered story really was Brittany Griner's 2022 detention in Russia, a genuinely difficult ordeal for her personally that nonetheless became, unfortunately, one of the league's biggest media moments before Caitlin Clark's arrival changed the league's overall visibility.
You're not. And this is coming up a lot. This you, isn't it? Right there. Seriously. This did not go unnoticed. This is what happens. We talking about ethics now? Piece of S. People were not going to let this slide. Same energy. Yeah. Right there. That did not.
The argument that increased mainstream attention comes with increased scrutiny, and that a league can't have one without accepting some of the other, is a fair, general media criticism point that applies to plenty of growing sports properties, not just the WNBA specifically.
Like her mentor, one of her best friends, but he made the comment about shooting baskets and crop tops or something like that. I don't know, just to get attention on the league or whatever. And people wanted to cancel him over that. It's just crazy. Again, great.
The reaction to fans calling for actual legal action against a comedian for a podcast roast is a fair thing to push back on. That response genuinely would be an unusual and likely unsuccessful move, and it's a reasonable point to make regardless of how offensive anyone found the original comments.
That would be a bad look. So, Sydney Colson went out there and said this in response to this Charleston White interview, or this podcast that he was on. Having an ignorant ass sexist on and then actually dropping the episode and then wanting to collab with the W is crazy work, laughing my ass off. Well, that didn't exactly get the response that I think she wanted. Yeah, there's a lot of Angel Reese stands just goo-goo and gaga over it. That's great. Again, I wonder if they're really basketball fans.
Here's Sydney Colson's actual quote, accurately represented. Having an ignorant ass sexist on and then actually dropping the episode and then wanting to collab with the W is crazy work lemao. That's a real on-record reaction from a real WNBA champion, not paraphrased for effect.
To the dust, and I'm going to play that clip, all right, because that part I can play without it getting jettisoned off of YouTube. It is funny as hell. He crushed Brittany Griner. But again, to quote CM Punk, tell him when he's telling lies, because he's not. And what kills me is this league has finally gotten people to acknowledge it. Because honestly, do you know what the WNBA's claim to fame was? Brittany Griner.
Jeff Teague's real response deserves to be heard directly. We had great times with Angel Reese. She cool people. We don't even look at her like that. We look at her like a little sister, a little homie. That's his actual on-record statement addressing the backlash, confirmed by Sportskeeda's coverage.
On YouTube, the no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, black and white sports supporters. Well, we're going to talk about this Charleston White Club 520 podcast situation involving NBA player Jeff Teague. And, of course, they're all sitting around BSing. Charleston White is a comedian, and he's very damn funny, but he is...
The comparison to Shaquille O'Neal facing similar backlash for an earlier comment about Reese is accurate too. Shaq's remark about her wardrobe did generate real criticism, and it's a fair point that even someone widely known as a genuine mentor and friend to Reese caught heat for an offhand comment.
Who knows? Maybe she's actually taking a stand against dudes in women's sports. I'd commend her if she's doing that. Hats off to you, Angel Reese. But some people think she's playing the victim because of a comedian roasting her on a podcast. Well, the WNBA got roasted in general. All right? And a couple things happened out of this. One, we've got this. Las Vegas...
The broader argument about how podcasts and unscripted conversation tend to reveal how people actually talk casually compared to more careful public statements is a reasonable, general point about media and authenticity. even if applying it to excuse any specific comment is a separate question worth evaluating case by case.
They're sitting around bullshitting like all real people do. Even the people that are pissed right now about this whole thing involving Angel Reese and Brittany Griner and the WNBA, this is the way y'all are talking behind the scenes too. Y'all just trying to play high and mighty. We're not dumb, all right? This is how people talk trash behind the scenes. But a good podcast peels back the curtain and shows you the best podcasts are people just BSing and saying what they would say behind the scenes, only on a